Part 3. Charybdis and Scylla, the deadly sea monsters of ancient Greek mythology. When it comes to tales of ancient mariners, few are as thrilling or as terrifying as the stories of Charybdis and Scylla. These two sea monsters from Greek mythology have struck fear into the hearts of sailors for millennia. Positioned on opposite sides of the narrow Strait of Messina, between Italy and Sicily, they created an almost inescapable trap for anyone who tried to sail through their treacherous waters. Charybdis, the monstrous whirlpool, and Scylla, the multi-headed beast, represent the brutal forces of nature that ancient sailors had to contend with on their perilous voyages. These mythological creatures not only symbolized the dangers of the sea, but also posed moral dilemmas, forcing sailors to choose between two deadly options, a true test of their courage and skill. In this video, we'll dive deep into the myth of Charybdis and Scylla, exploring their origins in Greek mythology, how they've been interpreted over the centuries, and their enduring legacy in literature and popular culture. Origins of the myth. The myth of Charybdis and Scylla is most famously recounted in Homer's Odyssey, where the hero Odysseus must navigate his ship through the perilous waters between these two monsters. However, their origins go back even further, with both creatures having deep roots in Greek mythology. Charybdis is often depicted as a massive, sentient whirlpool, and in some versions of the myth, she is a daughter of the sea god Poseidon and the earth goddess Gaia. According to legend, Charybdis was once a beautiful nymph who was transformed into a monster by Zeus as punishment for her excessive greed. After helping her father, Poseidon, flood the lands of Zeus, Charybdis was cursed to forever swallow vast amounts of water 3 times a day, creating a deadly whirlpool that would devour anything that came near. On the other side of the strait was Scylla, another creature with a tragic backstory. In some accounts, Scylla was a beautiful sea nymph who was transformed into a hideous monster by the jealous sorceress Circe, or in other versions, by the gods themselves. Scylla is typically described as having multiple heads, usually 6, each with a pair of sharp, gnashing teeth. Her lower body was often depicted as a mass of writhing, snapping dogs or serpents. She would lie in wait in a cave, grabbing and devouring sailors who ventured too close to her rocky lair. Together, Charybdis and Scylla created a perilous challenge for sailors, who were forced to choose between being sucked into the whirlpool or torn apart by the many heads of the beast. One of the most interesting aspects of the myth of Charybdis and Scylla is that it is set in a real-world location. Even today, the waters of the strait are known for their strong currents and unpredictable whirlpools, which have historically posed a significant danger to sailors. These natural phenomena likely gave rise to the myth of Charybdis, with ancient mariners attributing the deadly whirlpools they encountered to the actions of a monstrous being. Similarly, Scylla's rocky lair is thought to be based on the steep cliffs and treacherous rocks that line parts of the strait. Ships that sailed too close to these rocks risked being smashed to pieces, and any sailors who fell into the water would have been at the mercy of the swirling currents. For ancient Greek sailors, who were at the mercy of nature and the gods, it's easy to see how the dangerous geography of the strait would inspire stories of fearsome creatures lurking in the depths. Any ship caught in Charybdis' pull would be dragged down to the ocean floor, never to be seen again. She embodies the perils of the open sea, where one wrong move or misjudgment could lead to total destruction. One of the most harrowing moments in Homer's Odyssey comes when Odysseus is forced to sail past Charybdis. On a later journey, after losing his ship and his entire crew, Odysseus barely escapes being swallowed by the monster when he clings to a fig tree growing on a rocky cliff above the whirlpool. His encounter with Charybdis emphasizes the narrow margin between life and death in a world where gods and monsters dictate fate. Unlike Charybdis, whose destruction is more passive, albeit no less deadly, Scylla is actively predatory. Scylla represents the inevitable loss that comes with navigating life's challenges. In the Odyssey, Odysseus knows that he cannot avoid Scylla without risking his entire ship being pulled into Charybdis' whirlpool. He must choose to sacrifice some of his men to Scylla in order to save the rest of the crew and the ship. This moment in the epic underscores the moral dilemmas that ancient heroes often faced. Sometimes there is no right choice, only a lesser evil. Her many heads and snapping jaws can also symbolize the relentlessness of such dangers. They come from every direction, and there is little chance of escape. The phrase "between Scylla and Charybdis" has since entered popular language to describe being caught between two dangerous or difficult options, with no easy way out. This phrase is the perfect summation of the moral and practical dilemma that Odysseus faces in his journey through the strait. In this sense, the myth of Scylla and Charybdis is more than just a cautionary tale about the dangers of the sea. It is a story about the inevitability of sacrifice. While Homer's Odyssey is the most famous source of the myth, Scylla and Charybdis have been referenced and reinterpreted throughout the centuries. In Ovid's Metamorphoses, the backstory of Scylla is expanded upon, detailing how the beautiful nymph was turned into a monster by Circe after a tragic love story. According to Ovid, the sea god Glaucus fell in love with Scylla, but when she rejected him, he asked Circe to help him win her heart. In a fit of jealousy, Circe cursed Scylla, transforming her into the hideous creature who would terrorize sailors. This version of the myth adds an element of tragedy to Scylla's story, portraying her not as a purely malevolent being, but as a victim of divine jealousy. In modern times, the legend of Charybdis and Scylla continues to capture the imagination of audiences in literature, art, and pop culture. These creatures have appeared in countless adaptations of Greek mythology, including films like Jason and the Argonauts and TV series such as Hercules, The Legendary Journeys, and Xena, Warrior Princess. Their story has also been reimagined in modern literature, most notably in Rick Riordan's Percy Jackson series, where both Charybdis and Scylla serve as obstacles for the young demigods. These two sea monsters embody the unpredictable and uncontrollable forces of nature, serving as a reminder of how small and fragile humans are in the face of the vast and often hostile world around them. From their origins in Greek mythology to their lasting influence in literature and popular culture, Charybdis and Scylla continue to be powerful symbols of the choices we make.